The date is November 22nd, 1990, and the venue is the Hartford Civic Center. The air is charged with electricity, thick with the scent of popcorn and the roar of a sold-out crowd. It's Thanksgiving Day, a time for family and feasting, but for the 16,000 packed into the arena and the wider world watching at home, the long-awaited spectacle of the Survivor Series is the only thing that matters. A colossal 8-man tag team match pits 4 of the World Wrestling Federation's most dominant forces against the cold, calculating treachery of Mr. Perfect and the sinister brute force of Demolition. A collective gasp of anticipation rises as a familiar anthem blares through the arena's sound system. The first fan favorite to emerge is a hero from Texas, his long hair flowing behind him, his muscular physique and chiseled features a testament to a life spent in peak physical condition. He is the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich, and he is, to all appearances, on top of the world. Just 3 months earlier, at SummerSlam, he had done the seemingly impossible, defeating the cocky, arrogant Intercontinental Champion, Mr. Perfect. The victory wasn't just a win, it was a coronation. In a company where championships were the ultimate currency of prestige, Kerry Von Erich had seized one of the most coveted titles and, in doing so, had solidified his status as a major player, a beloved fan favorite, and an undeniable star. He is soon joined by his teammates, the post-apocalyptic, face-painted duo of the Legion of Doom, their spiked shoulder pads and animalistic snarls a promise of pure, unadulterated carnage. Then the thunderous, manic energy of the Federation champion, the Ultimate Warrior, sprints to the ring, shaking the ropes and roaring to the heavens as if channeling a primal spirit. Tonight, Kerry stands alongside this legendary champion and a pair of monstrous tag team icons, a hero among heroes. He is at the pinnacle of professional wrestling, a man who has seemingly tamed his demons and risen to heights his father could only have dreamed of. But there is a tragic irony at play, an ominous ticking clock hidden beneath the surface of this triumph. 25 months from this moment, the cheers would be silent, the lights would be out. Kerry Von Erich would be gone. Not just gone from the World Wrestling Federation, not just gone from the spotlight, but gone from this world, a life extinguished far too soon. How could a man so seemingly blessed, so physically gifted, and so adored by his fans have unraveled so completely and so tragically in a mere 2 years? The answer lies not in his final act, but in the dark, intricate tapestry of a family curse, a devastating injury, and the insidious, soul-crushing grip of addiction. To understand the end, we must go back to the beginning. Kerry Jean Adkisson was born on February 3, 1960, into a world unlike any other. His father, Jack Adkisson, was the patriarch of a wrestling empire, the man known to the world as Fritz von Erich. Under his iron-fisted rule, world-class championship wrestling became an institution, a sprawling saga of heroic brothers and vile villains that captivated the South. Kerry, along with his brothers David, Kevin, Mike, and later Chris, would be thrust into this narrative from a young age, their lives interwoven with the spectacle of the wrestling ring. The Von Erich family name was synonymous with tragedy, a shadow that seemed to follow them at every turn, but in the early 1980s they were on fire. The Von Erichs, with their all-American looks and dynamic in-ring style, were beloved idols, and Kerry, with his magnetic charm and incredible athleticism, was the unquestioned golden boy. Before wrestling, Kerry was a standout athlete, a prodigious track and field star who specialized in the discus throw, even earning a spot on the 1980 US Olympic team before the boycott. This athleticism would serve him well in the ring, where his signature discus punch became a feared and respected finishing move. For a decade, from his debut in 1978 until his departure in 1989, he was the heart and soul of his father's company. He feuded with the legendary Ric Flair, battling him for the prestigious World's Heavyweight Championship. That rivalry culminated in his greatest career highlight, a moment of transcendence and national triumph that seemed to defy the darkness that had haunted his family. On May 6, 1984, in front of a record-breaking crowd of over 45,000 at Texas Stadium, Kerry Von Erich defeated Flair to win the heavyweight championship, a victory dedicated to his recently deceased brother David, for whom the event was named. It was an emotional and cathartic moment that cemented his place in wrestling history. But the glory was fleeting. He lost the title just 18 days later in a controversial finish, a reign cut short by what many believed was a series of unreliable no-shows that foreshadowed the struggles to come. In 1986, a catastrophic event shattered Kerry's life. A serious motorcycle accident resulted in a severely injured right leg and hip. The initial injury was bad enough, but a devastating series of events followed. According to his brother Kevin, Kerry attempted to walk on the leg prematurely in the hospital, re-injuring it and forcing doctors to amputate the foot. From that point on, Kerry wrestled with a prosthesis, a secret he guarded with paranoid secrecy. He would often shower and change with his boots on, a macabre ballet of deception to hide the truth from his colleagues and the world. The physical pain was immense, and with it came a crippling addiction to painkillers, a logical yet fatal consequence. The man who had been the picture of physical perfection was now a prisoner of his own body, reliant on a cocktail of drugs to simply function. His wrestling style had to change. The high-flying, agile moves were replaced by a more grounded, powerful offense. He became a whirlwind of fists and fury, but beneath the surface, a real storm was raging. By 1990, the Von Erich empire in Texas was in disarray, and in a move that shocked the wrestling world, Kerry signed with Vince McMahon's World Wrestling Federation. The federation had become the global powerhouse, a pop culture juggernaut that transcended the regional promotions of the past. Kerry was repackaged as the Texas Tornado, a heroic all-American character who was, despite the different name, an open extension of his established persona. The gamble paid off immediately. He debuted to a thunderous ovation on Saturday night's main event, and just 2 months later, at the company's biggest summer event, he was elevated to the status of a champion. When Brutus the Barber Beefcake was sidelined with an injury, the Texas Tornado stepped into the ring to face the reigning Intercontinental Champion, Mr. Perfect. In a quick and decisive match, he defeated Perfect to capture the title, a feat that announced his arrival on the grandest stage. Kerry's time in the Federation was a paradox of highs and lows. The aforementioned Survivor Series of November 1990, where he stood triumphant alongside the Ultimate Warrior and the Legion of Doom, represented the absolute zenith of his career. He held the Intercontinental title, one of the company's most prestigious belts, and was positioned alongside an elite group of top-tier talent. But the shine soon began to fade. He dropped the Intercontinental Championship back to Mr. Perfect on a taping of Superstars that aired on television the next month. The decision, some believe, was influenced by his growing unreliability and the whisper of personal issues. He was still a featured player, but his main event status was slowly, imperceptibly being eroded. He had his moment on the biggest stage of all, WrestleMania 7, where he defeated Dino Bravo with his signature discus punch. He participated in the Royal Rumble matches of 1991 and 1992, each time being eliminated by a different wrestling icon. First The Undertaker, then his old nemesis, Ric Flair. The cycle of his Federation career became one of slow, agonizing decline. He was still the heroic Texas Tornado, and he still drew a positive reaction from the crowd, but the storylines he was involved in were less and less consequential. By early 1992, he was an opening card act, feuding with lower-tier talent and suffering more and more losses. The physical toll of his injury was undeniable, and the hidden demon of his painkiller addiction had begun to rear its ugly head, affecting his performance and reliability. The end of his Federation tenure came quietly. His final televised match was a loss to Shawn Michaels in July 1992, a far cry from the main event status he had enjoyed 2 years prior. After a brief absence, he officially left the company in August 1992, his time at the top now a distant, fleeting memory. He returned to the independent circuit in Texas, a ghost of his former self, teaming with his old rival Chris Adams. But the demons were closing in. His marriage to his wife Catherine, with whom he had 2 daughters, ended in divorce. The legal troubles mounted, leading to 2 drug-related arrests. The second charge, a violation of his probation, threatened to land him in prison for a significant period of time. The pressure, the pain, the shame, and the crushing weight of a family history saturated with suicide proved too much to bear. Bret Hart, in his autobiography, recalled a chilling conversation he had with Kerry on a road trip in 1990. where Kerry confessed his desire to join his brothers David and Mike in the afterlife, a wish he repeated to Brett in 1992. On February 18, 1993, just one day after being indicted on the second drug charge, Kerry Von Erich went to his father's ranch. He told Fritz he loved him, gave him a final hug, and walked into the woods. A single shot rang out, a tragic final period on a story that was over far too soon. He was just 33 years old. The secret of his prosthetic foot would finally be revealed to the world after his death, a devastating confirmation of the pain and deception he had lived with for years. In the end, the Texas tornado story isn't one of a professional athlete's career decline. It is a profound and moving tragedy about a man who was burdened with the legacy of his family and a personal torment that ultimately proved inescapable. His time in the World Wrestling Federation, though brief and at times uneven, was a final glimpse of a man who was once at the very top of his game, a shining star who stood tall alongside the titans of the industry. For a few brief, glorious months, he was on top of the world. Then, just 25 months later, the light went out. May he rest in peace.